Millionaire shocked by little girl's heartfelt plea, "Mommy, I can't stand up." Discover the amazing truth behind their lives in a quaint suburban town. Sarah, a hard-working single mother, felt the weight of the world pressing on her shoulders. Every dollar mattered, and with 2 jobs, one as a waitress in a local diner, the other as a cleaner in an office building, she embodied the essence of the American work ethic. Her spirited 8-year-old daughter, Lily, lit up her life, even as her rare condition kept her from walking. They were a team, navigating life's hurdles together, laughing, and dreaming of a brighter future. Yet, uncertainty loomed large. One fateful evening, Sarah's old car finally broke down. The clattering engine that barely survived another day let out a gasp, surrendering to the inevitable. Panic tore through Sarah's heart. Without transportation, how would she get to work? What would happen to their hopes? Their struggles seemed insurmountable. Tom, the wealthy businessman next door, had always been a figure of isolation among the community. With his pristine lawn and grand home, he hardly interacted with anyone, but he was drawn to Sarah and Lily's resilience. Who were these people who faced adversity with such grace? He often wondered, shunning the blend of gratitude and envy that bubbled beneath the surface. It was during a school presentation that everything changed. The auditorium buzzed with chatter as parents settled in. Lily, her heart pounding, took the stage. When the teacher called her name, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. On her crutches, Lily shuffled forward, but the moment she faced the crowd, her voice rang true and clear. "Mommy, I can't stand up," she declared, vulnerability etched across her small face. A stifled silence followed, punctuated by gasps. Tom felt his heart twist. This innocent admission shattered his preconceived notions about success. What had he valued so highly that this child embodied strength he had never witnessed? It was awkward yet compelling. His world, painted in shades of wealth and power, now seemed dull and disconnected. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As Tom attempted to help Sarah and Lily, miscommunication and misunderstandings erupted. His intentions faltered, Sarah's frustrations peaked. Heated exchanges shook their doorstep, revealing the divide between them. Yet beneath it all was a flicker of possibility, a chance for connection, for healing. At the upcoming town gathering, Lily prepared to perform despite her difficulties. Anxiety intertwined with excitement, filling the air with electricity. The townspeople, hesitant yet curious, gathered to witness the event. Tension hung heavy, a palpable mix of judgment and anticipation as they considered the boundaries of normal life. Finally, as Lily took the stage, everything stopped. Her resilience became a force, radiating warmth and determination. Tom watched, his heart shifting. In that moment, the crowd, once divided, united behind her. Tears welled in eyes, applause erupted, and judgment faded into something more profound. Through the lens of this child, he began to see it all differently. But just as light broke through the clouds, a whispered comment shattered the moment. The air thickened. Would this be a healing or just the beginning of a longer fight? The question lingered, hanging in the air like the final note of Lily's performance. Would Tom embrace the connection or retreat once more into his isolation, leaving Sarah and the community standing tall, or still struggling? Tom's mind raced as he processed the incident. The whispered comment had cut through the applause like a knife. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight, the kind of weight that could shatter a moment filled with hope. He glanced at Sarah, her face painted with disbelief. She poured everything into that moment, and now it felt tainted. Instead of stepping up, the crowd began to murmur. Some exchanged glances, while others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. It was as if the veil of unity had been ripped away, exposing deep-seated doubts and judgments. Tom felt a surge of anger towards the murmurs. Wasn't this about more than appearances? Wasn't it time to move beyond the whispers? Taking a deep breath, Tom stepped forward and cleared his throat. The spotlight felt too bright, and his heart thumped loudly as he faced the crowd. "Hey everyone!" he called out, his voice shaking slightly. "Can we stop for just a moment? This is about Lily. What she showed us today is incredible. She's shown us strength in a way many of us can only dream of." The murmurs hesitated. A few heads turned towards him, but some remained indifferent, still caught in the web of their judgments. "Lily is here to inspire us, not to be judged," he continued, feeling a warmth grow in his chest. "We all have our struggles. Maybe it's time for us to reflect on our own lives. Admit how we can be better, more compassionate. If we're going to be a community, we need to stand together, especially for our children." Tom could see Sarah's expression shift, her eyes softening with surprise. Was he really defending them? Did he genuinely want a connection with her family? The realization startled him but grounded him all the same. Lily, still standing in the spotlight, glanced at her mother. Sarah nodded, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. Lily smiled, encouraged by the support radiating from her mother. This image stirred something deep in Tom. This little girl had the ability to rally a crowd in a way he never could. It made him feel small and big at the same time. The tension in the air started to dissolve as a few sympathetic faces emerged from the crowd. "You're right. We've all struggled in one way or another," someone called out from the back of the auditorium. The comment sparked gentle murmurs of agreement, and in moments, the warmth began to fill the space again. But just as the crowd began to shift back to a sense of unity, a booming voice interrupted. "And what is that teaching our children?" It was Tom's neighbor, a well-known figure in the town, who stood with a frown. "What lesson does lifting up one draw down on others?" The backlash was immediate. Gasps echoed through the auditorium, reigniting the flickering flames of division. Tom's heart pounded in a rhythm of disbelief. Could they honestly be going back to this? "Let us put away the judgment," he shouted, frustration spilling over. "Let us teach acceptance instead of fear. We should be uplifting each other." Eyes darted, hearts raced, and the air thickened with tension. Would they falter again? Would this return to division and judgment drown the moment's earnestness? As uncertainty swirled around them, Tom knew the next few moments were pivotal, not just for Lily and Sarah but for him, too. Would he step up and be part of their fight, or retreat into his own bubble of safety? The choice loomed like a shadow, waiting to pounce. What would Tom choose? Would he lend his voice to unity, or allow fear to silence the truth he felt so passionately? The next chapter of their stories had yet to be written. Tom's heart raced as he realized the weight of the moment pressed down on him. The accusations still hung in the air like a bad echo, heavy and unpleasant. The crowd was waiting, their eyes shifting between him and Lily, who stood vulnerable in the spotlight. The tension was suffocating, but he felt a flicker of resolve ignite within him. "We're all human," he said, his voice stronger now. "We've all faced challenges. Lily is showing us what courage looks like. We should learn from that." The murmur of discontent shifted. Some in the front row exchanged glances, nodding in tentative agreement. Tom sensed a crack forming in the wall of judgment, and he pressed on. "Why not focus on the good? Instead of tearing each other down, we can build each other up starting right here, today." A ripple of energy surged through the audience. Sarah's eyes widened as she noted the change in atmosphere. This was what she had hoped for, a moment of unity sparked by her daughter's bravery. But the loud neighbor wasn't finished. "And what good does this lesson do when it shields children from reality?" he shot back, arms crossed in defiance. "They need to learn the truth of the world." Tom felt that familiar anger boiling up, but this time something in him shifted. He looked back at Lily, who blinked back tears. She wasn't fragile, she was fierce. He thought of all the kids in the audience, inspired by Lily's words. "No, we're not shielding them," he called out. "We're showing them that standing up for each other is what real strength looks like. Isn't that what we want our kids to learn?" The crowd stirred again, some shifting uneasily but others beginning to nod, voices softening. There were murmurs of agreement, whispers of hope. Yes, right, a voice called from the side. We need to support our children, not judge them. As the audience began to sway toward a more united front, Tom felt relief wash over him. Could this actually work? Could they break the cycle of judgment together? Lily turned to her mother, her small hand clenching Sarah's tightly, seeking approval. Sarah's gaze was now fixated on Tom, a mixture of gratitude and awe shining in her eyes. For the first time, she seemed to recognize Tom not just as a neighbor, but as a true ally, not just speaking for their family, but with them. Then, another person in the back of the auditorium rose. What about all the kids who can't do what Lily does? It was a young father, rage glimmered in his voice. Ignore the abilities, we need to focus on reality. Does this mean we turn blind eyes to those who can't stand up? Tom took a steady breath. This wasn't over. He had to address this. Reality doesn't mean abandoning the joy in our lives. It means embracing who we are, all of us. Every single person is a piece of this community, and we can support those who struggle. And we can start with compassion. The crowd started to murmur again, faces beginning to light up with understanding. But just as the momentum seemed to shift positively, the loud neighbor spoke up again, venom seeping into his words. Compassion won't change the truth, Tom. Reality is. Tom cut him off. Reality is what we make of it. His voice rang with conviction. Every child deserves a chance to thrive, to feel celebrated, especially when they shine like Lily just did. Faces softened, and for a moment, it was as if they were all on the brink of a new understanding. Tom could see Sarah's eyes glimmer as she stepped closer to him and Lily. She understood what was unfolding, the real beauty of what they had, their community's heartbeat beginning to synchronize. But before he could bask in the possibility of unity, someone from the back stood tall, anger radiating. And what if we can't agree? What if your version of acceptance tears apart the community instead of mending it? Tensions surged back sharply. Tom felt the stakes rising again. Would their attempt for connection crumble under fear and resistance? The room filled with uncertainty once more, a space charged with every possible outcome. As he stood ready for whatever might come next, Tom clenched his fists, heart racing. Was he ready to face this fight for unity, or would silence return in the wake of doubt? The air vibrated with unspoken questions, waiting for the next move. Tom's heart thudded in his chest. He could feel everyone's eyes boring into him. He glanced back at Lily, her small frame trembling slightly. What was he supposed to say now? Each moment felt like a lifetime. A wave of uncertainty washed over him, threatening to drown his resolve. He took a deep breath, steadying his voice. What if I told you that our differences make us stronger? The words seemed to hang in the air, challenging anyone to dispute them. What about kids who struggle? What if they lack the courage to speak up? A man near the front shouted back, his face flushed with emotion. Are we just leaving them behind? Tom met his gaze steadily. No one is left behind. That's the point. His emotion surged, pushing him to hold the crowd's attention. Lily has just found her voice. She is showing everyone how to find theirs. She is telling us it's okay to be different. It's okay to feel weak sometimes. A ripple of change swept through the audience. People turned to one another, exchanging uncertain but hopeful looks. Sarah could feel the tension ease just a little. There was a chance they might finally reach a breakthrough. The loud neighbor clenched his jaw, still fuming but losing some of his battle-ready intensity. So, just because Lily can be brave, we all get a free pass to ignore others who can't. If we ignore our own strengths, we'll miss the beauty of those who carry both burdens and blessings, Tom replied, trying to keep the hopeful spark alive. Every voice matters. Every story is part of our own story as a community. Exactly. Sarah interjected, stepping up beside Tom, her own voice steady now. We can't pick and choose who to lift up based on ease or our comfort zones. We need to honor every struggle. Just because you don't see someone's fight, doesn't mean it's not there. The crowd shifted again, this time toward agreement, their doubts slowly turning to empathy. Families whispered amongst themselves, sharing their own experiences of hardship, encouraging connection. A little girl's voice piped up from the back. "Lily, can you stay brave for all of us?" The innocence of her plea broke through the tension like a ray of sunshine cutting through thick fog. The air grew lighter, laughter bubbled up as parents smiled tenderly at their children, each one recognizing that strength didn't mean perfection, it meant showing up and being real. "Of course. I can stay brave for all of you," Lily declared, her voice unwavering now. The pride swelling in Tom's chest was unbearable, pure and beautiful. But then another voice rang out, drenched in doubt. "What if it isn't enough? What if even this moment fails?" The skepticism twisted in the air like a storm cloud, hanging over the gathering. Tom turned to face the voice, heart racing anew. "But can we afford to stop trying? Who will step up if we don't?" His words sliced through the tension, presenting a choice to the audience, fear or hope. The crowd bathed in quiet contemplation. He could feel their hearts, a collective pulse of uncertainty, searching for the right path. But just as the shift felt certain, the man from earlier leaned in closer, eyes flashing. "Tell me, Tom, if you're wrong, what will you do?" Tom stared back, breath hanging between them. What if he was wrong? What lay on the other side of this gamble? As the question echoed in his mind, he grasped for words, feeling the weight of the world sit upon him. Would he have the answers when it truly mattered, or would everything they built crumble away? He took a step closer, resolve hardening. "Then we'll stand together and redefine what it means to support each other," he replied, voice resolute. "We will keep fighting for every heart." The crowd held its breath, caught in the moment between doubt and bravery. And Tom, standing on the edge of belief, felt the world waiting for his next words. Tom sensed the crowd's breath hitch, a moment suspended in time. He was no longer just talking, he was giving voice to an unspoken fear, an ache that lay behind every pair of eyes looking back at him. Would the words he forged really resonate? Could they become a chorus of unity? "Look around you," he said, sweeping his gaze across familiar faces. "Each one of us has fought something invisible. That's what makes us a community. We lift one another. We don't wait for someone else to do it, we do it ourselves." He spotted Lily, whose small shoulders now stood a bit straighter, emboldened by the feelings swirling around them. Hope sparkled in her eyes, reflecting the warmth spreading through the gathering. "And what if we stumble?" he asked, testing the pulse of the crowd. "What if we fail? Isn't it better to fail together than to never try at all?" The crowd began to shift, heads nodding in silent agreement. A woman near the front squeezed her partner's hand, tears glistening in her eyes. "We've lost our way, haven't we?" she whispered, loud enough for a nearby family to hear. The man beside her nodded, the weight of shared burdens pressing upon them. Tom lifted his voice again, this time softer, invitingly. "We can't fix everything in one magic moment, but every effort counts. Every word exchanged in kindness builds us a tiny step closer." Someone in the back of the crowd took a deep breath, breaking the silence. "I want to try," they called out, sounding a little unsure but strong enough to utter the words. "I want to honor those who can't speak." "Can we?" "Yes," someone else echoed, and soon a wave of voices joined in, each adding to the growing swell of determination. "We will." Tom felt adrenaline rush through his veins, driving the moment. It wasn't just him. It was everyone encircling him, each person rising to the challenge. The familiar loud neighbor-esque gruff voice surfaced again, but this time softened. "Fine, I'll listen. But I don't know if I can change. Changing starts with listening," Sarah chimed in, a smile growing on her face. "It starts with opening up, even just a little. We all have places we feel stuck. Let us share and help one another out of that." Encouraged, the crowd began to form pairs and small groups, a symphony of nervous chatter igniting hope. Tears were shared, laughter spilled out, and for the first time, vulnerability felt like courage instead of shame. Lily stepped into a nearby group, a twinkle of excitement in her eyes. "I can help," she said, throwing her arms wide as if she was inviting everyone into her world filled with acceptance. Tom breathed out slowly, the weight on his heart beginning to lift. This was a pivotal moment. They were starting to rewrite their story, one built on support and resilience, not just anger or fear. But as he scanned the crowd, he noticed skeptical faces still lingered at the sidelines, arms crossed, uncertainty clinging to them like shadows. Then he spotted a boy, maybe around 10, standing quietly apart from the rest, looking lost in the swell of emotion. Tom's heart ached at the sight. "Hey!" he called, his tone inviting. "What's your name?" The boy hesitated, eyes downcast. "Jimmy," he whispered, barely audible amidst the noise. "Jimmy," Tom repeated gently, "what's holding you back?" With bated breath, the crowd fell silent again. Eyes turned toward Jimmy, waiting for the answer hanging in the air. Would he voice his fears? Would courage come forth from his quiet heart? The seconds dragged on, turned heavy with potential as every heart in that gathered place pulsed with curiosity and concern. The moment was fragile, and Tom felt it, the delicate line between silence and revelation. He took a small step toward Jimmy, the warmth of the moment crackling between them like electricity. "We're here for you, buddy," Tom encouraged softly. "You're safe." The crowd leaned in, ready for the truth that could possibly change everything. What would he say? What was tied within that stillness, ready to be unleashed? Jimmy swallowed hard, the weight of the crowd feeling heavier than before. He shifted on his feet, a battle raging within him. They were all looking, waiting for him to speak. His heart thudded loudly in his chest, so loud he was sure everyone could hear it echoing. "I just want to feel normal," he finally managed to say, his voice a fragile thread amidst the collective breath of the crowd. "But I can't. I'm always the kid that needs help. Other kids don't want to play with me." Because his words trailed off, the vulnerability striking a chord in everyone's heart. Tom's heart sank, the boy's fear resonating in the very gathered spirit of the community. "That's all right," Tom replied softly, crouching to meet Jimmy at eye level. "We are all different. And that's okay, buddy. You're not alone in this." Hushed murmurs rippled through the crowd. A mother in the front wiped her tears, empathy binding her emotions with this small boy's struggle. As she held her child close, the warmth of connection spread, and the crowd seemed to lean inward, creating an invisible lifeline around Jimmy. "I feel weak," Jimmy continued, his voice trembling. "What if I never fit in?" "Listen to me, Jimmy," Tom said, urgency painting his words. "You are stronger than you think. Everyone here has felt weak at some point. It's what makes us human. It's how we find strength together. You are a part of this family now." The crowd responded with soft agreements, nodding heads and murmuring affirmations. A few people stepped forward, faces softening with shared memories of their own struggles, each intertwined with the narrative of togetherness. "The truth is," Sarah chimed in, her voice confident, "life isn't about fitting in perfectly. It's about finding those who see your heart. If we create spaces where everyone feels welcome, then we all win, don't we?" Jimmy blinked, a flicker of uncertainty still clouding his youthful eyes, but slowly the corners of his lips twitched. The safe space was forming around him, and for the first time, he felt the pull of acceptance. Tom stood back up, glancing at the faces surrounding him. Now it wasn't he just the scared boy anymore. They were a tapestry of individuals brought together, each thread uniquely significant, weaving a new narrative. As they reached out for one another, Lily shouted, "Can we start a club? A club for everyone who feels different. A place where we can lift each other up." The energy rushed through the crowd. Shouts of agreement filled the air, like fireworks bursting with possibility. "Yes. Let us do it," someone cried, excitement electrifying the atmosphere. But amidst the rising tide of hope and enthusiasm, Tom caught another glimpse of hesitation in Jimmy's eyes. It was still there, lurking beneath the surface. He needed to know that this wasn't just a fleeting moment. "Jimmy," he called out again, the gravity of the moment pressing him to find the right words, "would you help us lead this club?" A wave of disbelief washed over Jimmy's face. "Me? Yes. You have a powerful voice. You already touched us all with your bravery," Tom assured him, his heart swelling with pride. "You can help reshape how we see each other." The boy's breath caught in his throat, the spark of hope igniting larger than before. But what if I mess up? He whispered, vulnerability creeping back. Tom smiled warmly, catching the eyes of the crowd. Then we'll mess up together. That's what family does, right? As the crowd erupted in laughter and cheers at the sentiment, Tom felt a shift. This wasn't just about overcoming challenges. This was about building bridges to reach those lurking in the shadows, people like Jimmy, who simply needed a chance. But as voices soared and plans began to form, the shadows of doubt still lingered. Was everyone truly ready to embrace this change? Can we truly hold each other up? He wondered silently, glancing around the now vibrant gathering. The moment of change was captivating, but would they all follow through on this commitment? Just as the laughter faded, another figure stepped forward from the back of the crowd, a face shrouded in doubt. Tom's heart dropped as dread settled in. Who was this person? What would they say? Would they shatter the newfound hope? The murmurs in the crowd faded into a heavy silence as all eyes turned to the newcomer. A girl stood there, no older than Jimmy, with a determined stance but uncertainty etched across her face. Her hair fell in messy pigtails, and her oversized jacket nearly swallowed her petite frame. She began hesitantly, clearing her throat. My name's Emily, and I think I might want to join this club too. Her voice was soft, but it carried an unmistakable sincerity. Tom felt a rush of hope. Of course, Emily. We would love to have you, he exclaimed, trying to pull her into the warmth that had enveloped Jimmy just moments before. But Emily shook her head, her brow furrowed in concern. I came here today because she hesitated again, glancing around the sea of faces, all listening intently. I can't stand up. I mean, I can stand, but I can't walk. Everyone at school, they ignore me. They just see my wheelchair and not me. And I wanted to know if people like us can be friends. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the crowd, an outpouring of empathy gathering in the air. Tom stepped closer, feeling the weight of her words. Emily, he said softly, you deserve friends just like everyone else. You're so brave for sharing that with us. Jimmy's eyes widened, a glow of understanding dawning on him. He felt a connection, not only to Emily but to the very strength that lay in their shared vulnerability. Yeah. We can be friends, he called out, his voice rising with enthusiasm. I want to know more about you. This was a turning point for him. His heart swelled as he stepped toward Emily, holding out his hand. Let us make this club a place where no one feels alone. A smile broke through Emily's nervousness. She reached for his hand, and in that moment, a connection was forged, a bridge built across their struggles. The crowd erupted into cheers, lightening up the earlier tension. Families smiled, children clapped and jumped with excitement, the joy infectious. And there it was, an acceptance, raw and authentic, flowing through them all. As the group began to brainstorm together, ideas blossomed in the air. They planned events, discussions, and so much more. Everyone wanted to be heard, to lean on each other. But amidst the excitement, Tom noticed a few familiar faces still lingering at the edges, uncertainty clouding their eyes. What about those kids? He thought, a pang of concern tugging at him. Will we be able to reach them? Just then, another voice broke into the cheer, stern and unyielding. This is ridiculous. You really believe a club is going to change anything? You're all just wasting your time. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Tom's heart sank as he recognized the tone. A child who probably felt hurt, frustrated, and scared about a world that could be so unforgiving. He felt caught between two storms of emotion, hope and doubt. As the crowd murmured amongst themselves, he knew he had to respond. We can prove them wrong, he thought. But how? The uninvited voice echoed through the air, casting a shadow upon the new dream they had begun to weave. Can they turn the tide, or will this club stand against the wave of doubt? He wondered, staring into the eyes of his newfound friends, both fearful and hopeful. What would it take to turn this into something unbreakable? Tom felt the weight of the derisive voice settle over the crowd like a heavy fog. He could almost hear the doubt crackling in the air. Every cheer, every clap from earlier felt distant now, swallowed by the force of that single harsh sentiment. He took a breath, trying to shake off the shadows creeping into his mind. Who said that? He scanned the sea of faces, searching for the source. There it was, Alex, a boy from his class, slouching at the back with his arms crossed tightly over his chest. A look of defiance on his face. Tom remembered Alex well, smart but guarded, often sharper than he knew how to handle. Alex, wait! Someone called out, but Alex just rolled his eyes. You all think you can just hold hands and sing Kumbaya and everything will change? It doesn't work that way. His words cut through the air, and Tom felt a twinge of anger rise up. But more than anger, he felt for Alex. This was a kid who had yet to learn how to take a step toward hope, let alone friendship. Emily, still standing next to Jimmy, looked at Tom, her eyes wide and pleading. He knew they needed something big to turn the tide back in their favor. Listen, Alex, Tom began, stepping closer, using his voice to draw the crowd's attention back. You're right. Just saying we want to be friends won't change everything overnight. But starting something is the first step. We all know what it feels like to be alone, don't we? Murmurs of agreement floated through the crowd. Emily nodded, a spark of determination igniting her expression. I didn't come here to waste anyone's time. I came because I want to find friends who see me, who see beyond my wheelchair. Her voice quivered at the end, but it was strong. The crowd fell silent once more, reflecting on her words. They had felt her vulnerability, and in that shared moment of honesty, the encasing doubt began to crack. Alex shifted, his head tilting. And how would you know you're not just wasting your breath? How do we know this club will really change anything? His voice cooled slightly but remained edged with skepticism. Tom felt the need to respond wash over him like a wave. We'll try. We have to try. He turned, pointing at the gathering around him. I mean, look at us. We're all here, together. That's substantial. We start with small things, like playing games together or sharing our stories. We build a community. One step at a time. The air vibrated with the energy of possibility. Murmurs grew louder as the crowd slowly began to transform, uncertainty merging into curiosity. They were hungry for change, even if it made them a little scared. Then, from the front, a girl named Mia piped up, what if we helped each other more? What if we paired up to do things together? Like, I don't know, a picnic or volunteering? Tom could almost feel the air shift. Ideas began to crackle and swirl among them like fireworks. Inspiration unfolded, sending pulses of excitement chasing the shadows away. Exactly. Tom smiled, now riding the energy. Let us make a list of all the things we can do together. As voices rose in excitement planning this new direction, he caught a glimpse of Alex. The boy stood a little taller. His arms relaxed a fraction as he tilted his head, considering the possibilities. Hope. But as plans spilled out beneath the bright afternoon sun, Tom's heart held a sliver of worry. Would Alex truly join in, or would he remain a ghost in the corner? With a renewed sense of purpose, Tom led the group in brainstorming details for their first event. But in the back of his mind, one question lingered: could they really pull Alex into their circle, or would he always be the one who watched from the sidelines? As the laughter echoed into the air, Tom felt the first real threads of belonging weave through their small community. His thoughts flickered to the challenges ahead, and he couldn't shake the feeling that their journey was just beginning. But what would it take to pull Alex into their new family? Tom's mind was racing, but he tried to focus on the buzzing energy enveloping the crowd. Every voice chimed in, their ideas colliding and dancing in the air like colorful confetti. He felt like he was surfing on a wave of possibility, yet the question lingered like an anchor deep in his gut: what if Alex never truly joined them? Let us think about setting a date for our picnic, shouted Mia, her excitement contagious. We could do it on Saturday. There's a great park with a playground nearby. The crowd erupted into laughter, as a chorus of suggestions tumbled over one another. Some wanted games, others suggested bringing snacks. It all felt electric, but Tom's gaze drifted back to Alex. The boy still lingered at the back, and for a flickering moment, their eyes met. Tom offered a smile, but Alex's expression remained stoic. "Hey, Alex," Tom called out, raising his voice above the excitement. "You should join us. What do you think?" The laughter died down, everyone turning to look at Alex, who shifted uncomfortably. For a heartbeat, the air was thick with anticipation. "I don't know," he stammered. He seemed smaller somehow, a barrier clearly still standing between him and the group. "Simon, man," interjected Jimmy, his voice encouraging. "We'd love to have you. Just think about all the good food. And the games. We could really use your ideas," Emily said, her kind voice softening Alex's rigid posture. "You're smart, and you always think of things differently." Alex's eyes darted between the crowd, uncertainty bubbling just beneath the surface. "Why do you care?" "You barely know me." Tom felt the weight of Alex's words. The truth hung heavily in the air. Why did they care? This wasn't some movie plot where everyone becomes best friends instantaneously. These were real feelings, real lives mingling in uncertainty. "Because we want something real," Tom replied, sincerity gripping every word. "You don't have to carry the weight of being alone anymore. We've all felt that way, and we're trying to change it. If we can help one another, maybe we can figure it out together." An intense silence fell over the group, heavy with introspection. Tom's heart raced, hoping his words reached Alex's guarded heart. Then, in a sudden surge, Mia stepped forward again. "Why not start with sharing our stories? We all have a little something to offer, even if we don't see it right away. It's a chance to open up." "A story swap?" a boy chimed in, his eyes brightening at the idea. Tom could see flickers of doubt still in Alex's eyes, but now they seemed tempered with something else: curiosity? A hint of vulnerability, perhaps? "I don't know, I've never really shared much," he mumbled, but the softness behind his words hinted at a crack in his armor. "Neither have I," whispered Emily. "But sometimes, showing a little of ourselves can lead to something beautiful. You can go at your own pace." Tom felt the tension shift, the air lightening with a mix of hope and fear. Slowly, Alex took a small step forward. The collective gasp was almost musical. "Okay," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But only if you go first, Tom." The cheering crowd seemed to vanish for a moment, Tom's heart thumping loudly in his chest. He'd just been given a ticket to light the spark of something beautiful. But he felt the gravity of what Alex's participation might mean. Would this lead to something transformative, or would it be yet another moment lost to hesitation? "What do I share?" Tom murmured to himself, suddenly unsure. But deep down, he felt that the most genuine part of their journey was beginning to unfold. As he contemplated his story, under the bright sky and hopeful faces, a question clawed at the edges of his mind. Could his story be the light that pulled Alex completely from the shadows? Tom felt a surge of warmth wash over him, mixed with his nerves as he stood before the crowd. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about Alex, Emily, Jimmy, and everyone who longed for belonging. "Okay, I'll go first," he began, his voice trembling slightly, but it carried the weight of what he felt inside. "I wasn't always this confident. I grew up feeling like I had to hide parts of myself. In school, I thought if I didn't fit into the mold, if I didn't seem perfect, I wouldn't be liked." A murmur raced through the crowd, heads nodding as they recognized his honesty. "I remember one time, I really wanted to join the basketball team. But I was so scared, I thought my skills weren't good enough," Tom continued, emotion spilling into his voice. "I sat on the sidelines, pretending to cheer for my friends, but deep down, I felt lonely and scared." He paused, meeting Alex's gaze. "It took my friend pointing out how much potential I had for me to take a chance. I finally tried out, and even though I didn't make the team, I learned it's okay not to be the best. I learned that bravery is about showing up, no matter the outcome." At that moment, he saw the flicker of understanding ignite in Alex's eyes. "I learned that everyone has their own insecurities," Tom said, "and it's okay to share them. Talking about it makes you lighter. Each time we acknowledge our fears together, we start to heal. I'm here to say that sharing our stories doesn't weaken us, it strengthens our bonds." Silence enveloped the crowd, processing Tom's words. Suddenly, Emily took a small step forward. "I want to share too," she said, her voice filled with determination. The crowd shifted, encouraging her with smiles. "When I was younger, I didn't understand why I was in a wheelchair when others could run around freely," Emily began. "I felt invisible. But then I learned that my wheelchair didn't define me. It's a part of my story, not the whole story." Tom's heart swelled with pride as Emily poured her truth into the air. Her vulnerability illuminated the space, connecting them deeper. "I love art," she continued, "and through drawing, I found a way to express myself. I realized I can still connect with people, even if I don't fit into every situation." More murmurs of agreement sounded out from the crowd. Each small revelation was like a thread, weaving them together in a tapestry of shared experiences. "Thank you for sharing, Emily," Tom said, feeling the surge of camaraderie build. Beneath the surface, he sensed something within Alex shifting. "What about you, Alex?" he prompted gently, extending a hand toward the boy. Tom could see Alex wrestle with the decision, eyes darting around the expectant crowd. For a heartbeat, the weight of hesitation hovered again, but finally, Alex took a deep breath. "Okay, but I don't have anything deep or inspiring," he began, his voice raw. "That's fine," chirped Lily, her encouragement lighting up the room. "Life has been complicated for me," Alex admitted. "I've always been the kid who somehow ends up on his own during group projects. It's like I don't know how to connect." His face twitched with momentary vulnerability. "I want to fit in, but I keep messing up. Maybe I just don't know how." In that moment, the crowd leaned in. "But that's okay," Tom said, feeling a spark dance through him. "Each and every one of us has felt like that. Sharing it takes courage, it really does." All at once, a wave of understanding swept the audience, each heart tuning in to the same beat of empathy. They'd all been there in some way, feeling lost, yearning for acceptance, and here they were confessing their truths to one another, a moment of grace unfurling in the midst of their fears. Tom nodded at Alex. "You're not alone in this. Together, we can figure it out." A ripple of support echoed through the crowd. "I guess I could stick around and see where this goes," Alex murmured. It was small, but it was everything. Suddenly, an eruption of applause filled the air, compounded by Lily's joyful cheer. This was the moment they'd all been building toward, a transformation infused with collaboration and acceptance. "Let us create more spaces like this," Emily suggested, her voice bright with hope. "A place where we can be ourselves, where all are included." "Absolutely," Tom agreed, his heart racing with excitement. "Let us plan our picnic and make it a celebration of every story here. Together." As voices rose with each suggestion, the atmosphere crackled with warmth and enthusiasm. People clapped and laughed, brainstorming ideas that brought their community closer. But in the back of his mind, Tom thought of more than just the picnic. He thought of the changes they could make, the lives they could touch. "If we're going to do this, then it's going to mean commitment," he declared. "We want to support every single person here. We come together not just to lift one another in joy, but to stand side by side when challenges arise. Will create real change." Cheering erupted, spirits soaring. In that moment of gleeful interaction, Tom felt an overwhelming sense of victory, as he recognized the true strength of community taking form. In an exhilarating culmination of emotions, he turned and declared, "Let us change our stories together." With that, the sun began to set, bathing them all in a golden hue, the kind that felt like every dream was within reach. This was just the beginning. Somewhere deep within, Tom felt the warmth of connection settle in his heart, igniting a fire that would carry them through the tough times ahead. Together, they would weave a new narrative, where every voice mattered, and all hearts could belong. Now, this is the moment to step up. You need to subscribe now. Hit that bell and don't miss out on exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more hearts. And I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below sharing your feelings about this powerful transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this hope and belonging. Together, let us spread the light.